Hi guys, this is Milan speaking. Recently I posted one of my works called Tiny Chinese Garden to the internet and got quite a lot of questions how I did it. So I decided to do a tutorial. That's actually the very first one in my life, so I'm a little bit nervous. But anyways, the scene is quite complex, so I've decided to do a few separate parts. So we'll start with modeling the bowl and the ground today. The next one will be modeling the bridge, then the grass, so the hair effect and bamboo. And the last one should be related to lights, setting up the cameras, and stuff like that, special effects. So let's jump in.
Okay, so to create a bubble first, I'm using Cinema4D release 2021, but this is quite simple task, and I'm pretty sure even older versions like release 14, 15 should be able to do the same. Anyways, the first one when we create a project is to set up the proper scaling. Um, my defaults are centimeters, but since this is tiny garden, we'll be working more like in terms of millimeters. Even though this doesn't seem so important from the beginning, it actually is because it greatly affects the cameras, depth of fields, lights, and stuff like that. So it's better to set it up at the very beginning, even though you can scale the project later on, like here is the scale. So if you miss this part, you can do it later on, but it's better to do it at the beginning. Anyways, so uh, to create a bowl, we need to draw a line that defines its shape, how it looks from the right side, for example. So I'm in a spline pen tool, and let's draw the outer shape of it. So let's start at 0, do the bottom part, maybe like this, and something like this to go for the top. So that's the simple line that defines the how it will look in cut, let's say. So let's go to the vertex or point tool and select the very first vertex, and in coordinates set it to 0, so we can be sure that it's really on a 0 coordinates. And the second one should be in y-axis 0 as well. So this line is on a 0 y coordinate. So we've got something like this. If we look to perspective view, we've got a line, and now we need to make a bowl from the line. So it's actually object which is turned around the y-axis here. So we've got a tool for it. So I'll select the spline, go to this one, and here it is. And if I press Alt key, it's created as a parent to the spline, and right away we can see the results. So this one basically takes the spline and rotates it whatever degrees I want. So in this case, I want 360. So I want something like this to be a result. Let's switch to the lines view, so I can see a complexity. So we've got two issues here. At first, it's not complex enough, so it would be okay as an asset, for example, to Unity or some other game engine, but definitely not for beauty renders. So what we can do with that? So at first, we've got those subdivisions here. So the less is means the less polygonal object, but also the more kind of uglier one. This is not rounded, it's like angle. So let's add subdivisions to something like 120, sorry, 120. Yeah, that looks much better. And also the spline, as you can see, we've got a path that doesn't have that many polygons. On the other hand, we've got a path that has too many, maybe. So if I go to spline, I've got a option here to go for intermediate points. So instead of adaptive, I choose subdivided, and here I can choose two things. First, maximum angle and maximum length. So maximum angle could be like 10, and maximum length, let's see. So I believe this is pretty decent. But we've got another problem here, and that's it looks like paperish. It doesn't have any depth here. So to properly mimic the bubble, not to be made from paper but from some other material, we need to create some kind of width of, of the sides. So let's turn off this effect for a while by clicking this icon. And again, we can see the line. So if I'll go for a line, again, to the point selection, Control A to select all of them. And right click, there is create outline. So if I select that, I can create outline, maybe to give it a depth. So maybe something like this. Now to select those points here because they are pointless. This makes more sense. Something like that, maybe even a bit upper. Yeah, it looks quite okay. Yeah, so maybe to turn it a bit more like this and scale it. So this is it. Also, this is too rough, so we'll select those 2 points again, right click, and there is this chamfer tool. I'm sorry, I'm not a native speaker, so sorry for any wrong pronunciation. Anyways, I can make it rounded, so let's round it like this. Go back, turn on again, and this is much better. This is what we are looking for, actually. So yeah, it's nice and smooth. I think this is more or less it. Maybe you should make it a little bit higher. So again, we'll go to spline and select those points here and just move those up like this. Yeah, that's great. So we've got a main shape. Now about the texture or a material. I've got something prepared, so I'll switch to Photoshop, and this is what I've got. What I did, I've actually found this painting on internet. It's like classical Chinese painting. Unfortunately, it's kind of like a square ratio, so I've made a mirror copy of it. If you would be able to find something else, something which is more like landscape format, that would be even better. This is not perfect solution, but the best I found for free. So I've created something like this. So the top part of the image is will represent basically the side of the bowl. The bottom part, the yellow one, will represent the golden parts of the bowl. So what I also did, I took this layer and created something like this. So this will be kind of mask. showing which part should be used for golden material. The texture is squared. That's because I work in Unity from time to time, so that's kind of my habit. It can be any resolution, any ratio actually, but squared is something I go for. The size is 2K by 2K roughly, so it's good enough for like even high-res rendering. So let's go back to Cinema. And let's open Material Manager and create a material. And so the color would be obviously the color channel, and let's stick with it for now and apply to it. So now, as you can see, it's completely incorrect. The UV mapping, it's wrong. So I actually have to adjust the UV maps. For that, I need the object to be editable. But if I make it editable, I am losing all those attributes here for good. So what I'll do, I'll make a kind of backup copy and hide it. And now let's make this editable. Got it. And let's delete all of those because we will not need those. So I've got an editable object. That's this icon. It has UVW tag applied already, so it means we will be able to adjust UV maps and the material body. So let's jump to the UV mapping view. Let's select materials and let's click this red X. So now we can see in our preview the color channel, so it will be easier for us to adjust. Let's go back to object and let's go to UV polygon selection and Control A, select all. So we've got all the objects selected. Now we need to select projection. In our case, it will be cylinder. So it's like a kind of virtual cylinder around it, projecting it this way. And we are getting there, but not yet completely. So what to do, what to adjust? At first, let's focus on this center part. Let's focus on our picture. As you can see, it's not it's like squeezed. So let's select non-uniform scale tool. Let's make it this way. Yeah, it's statically looking decent. Or maybe undo this, and we can go also transform, and we can put the scale here by numbers. That will be more precise, and it will fit seamlessly. So let's say X scale in our case could be like maybe 4 times. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, now the parts that would contain gold. Now here we've got like our golden part, but we don't want it there. We want it at the very bottom and at the very top of the object. So let's go for rectangle selection. Let's select bottom part, and let's scale it down. So now we are telling the faces that they are on a very white part, so there is no golden part anymore. And now we want the bottom part and the top part to be actually the golden one. So bottom part is this. So again, rectangle selection. Maybe that's too much. Yeah. Let's set it this way. Oh, sorry. That's fine. And let's move this to the golden one. And let's scale it. Yeah. So now we can see it's something like this. And maybe scale it this direction. Yeah. Maybe move it a bit. Okay. We have to scale it a different way, -1. So, yeah. So we've got that bottom part golden, including this part. We can fix this one later on, or leave it, whatever. Doesn't matter really. The same with the top part. The rim should be gold as well. So again, rectangle selection. Yeah. Move it down. And it's there, almost there. And some little bit of imperfection there. Like this. Scale it a bit. Yeah. That's pretty much it, I think. So bottom and top part. Let's switch back to modeling. So let's see how it looks. Outer part is more or less okay. Inner part is not, because obviously the painting is just from outside, not inside. This part is not correct as well. So let's fix it. Let's go to the lines mode and let's select polygons. And there is a polygon selection. I've got it here, but it's also under the select. And let's select loop selection. Select loop like that. And there is a grow selection. So let's grow it. Yeah. Even more. Like that. That's okay. Oh, actually it's not. I've selected it on the bottom part. This is not correct. So only select visible elements. Jesus. Yeah. And with Control, and select this manually. And the bottom we made selected. That's okay. So yeah, it seems okay. So we will create we will set selection. It's normally under the select menu. Yeah, set selection, but I use it quite often, so the icon is here as well. Set selection and name it inner part. So let's go back to UV modeling. Select that inner part. Switch from polygons to UV polygons. And let's do cylinder projection again. And let's move those selected UV polygons out of our painting. So on the bottom we've got a free space which is completely white. So let's leave it square here, for example. So now we've got an inner part plain white. We've got a bottom plain white. We've got that rim. And we should have a rim here as well, yeah, and the painting. So back to modeling, and this is pretty much it. If I render it, it looks pretty decent. Yeah, so that's the first phase. But the thing is that if we are talking about golden material here on the rim and on the bottom, the gold has not just a different color like a yellowish, but also different reflectivity. It reflects much more than other materials. So let's create a golden material, and I believe there is actually gold, antique gold. Let's see. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's use this one. So antique gold, and put it to our object as well, and voila, the object is all gold. So that's something we actually didn't want. What to do with it? How to adjust it? Well, it works the similar way as Photoshop. So you can imagine those materials as layers actually. So you've got a first layer with the bowl, this like colors, and the second one, which is above, as a gold. So we need to specify what will be gold. So let's open gold, and here in the settings we've got the alpha channel. So alpha channel is basically some kind of mask in Photoshop. So let's turn it on. Let's load the image, and I've got that metal ball metal mask which I've created in Photoshop here. So the important is that the mask is exactly on the same place as that yellowish stripe on the color. So so let's use it. So this one, and now we've got what we wanted. So we've got not just yellowish, but with the reflections, the rim part at the top, which represents a golden rim, and the rest has different settings, not just the color. And same with the bottom here, golden versus the rest. It looks a little bit darkish here. That's because we currently don't have anything to reflect on it, so it reflects black, and therefore it looks dark. But it will be fine when we create something around it. So that's a golden part. Now the bowl itself, the material, it's too matte, I think. The material itself should be a bit reflective as well. So how to do that? There is a reflectance channel. So by default, the specular blend is used, and that's the method how to actually calculate shyness of material somehow. It's a fast method, but not that accurate. There are no reflections. It's just a kind of reflection of the highlight. So we don't want this, so let's remove it. And let's add backman instead. So what backman does is to look around and actually reflect everything which is around to the object. So now, as you can see, we've got a bowl which looks like golden rim, and the rest is, I don't know, chrome maybe. So let's create something which will reflect there actually. So let's do sky. Sunny park, for example. Yeah. So now when I render it, it's like all with reflections and we lost all the colors. That's because the reflectance is set to 100%. So we have to do something with it. At first, I'll hide the sky for rendering. There is a tag for it. Render tags, compositing, sorry, and seen by camera. So what this does is that during the render, it will not be seen by camera as a background, but it still reflects and refract. So now we can see properly which materials are with reflections and which are not. So back to our bowl material. So as I mentioned, this is too shiny, too reflective. So let's set it lower. Maybe something like this. We'll see. Also, it's too rough. So roughness, so it's like this is more like a mirror, and this is more like a brushed metal or something. So let's do something like this. That makes sense. So let's try to render it. Yeah, that's better. Also, since we are aiming for a precise like beauty render, we can set up Fresnel. What Fresnel does is that the reflectance of materials also depends on the angle you are looking at to them. So let's use a Fresnel dielectric. And do we have something close? Glass, maybe? Let's try glass. Yeah. So now we are close. So I would say this is it. This is the setting for the bubble. So we are done here. Okay, the next part we will focus on will be the ground. So let's start with our disk. Put it a bit upper and set the diameter radius to fit. Yeah. Something like this. Again, the rotation segments, let's do it like 50. That's pretty decent. Yeah. So maybe oh, this is fine. So that would be our ground, be like somewhere here. Just be careful not to go over this. So this is wrong. This is wrong as well. So we have to be somewhere, yeah, in the middle of it. So something like this. So again, make the disk editable. Select faces, Control A, and since we will be sculpting, we need more faces, and we need a regular grid because like here the faces could be like small, and here are big ones. So what I do regular grid by selecting the plane cut. The mode is local. Yeah, that's correct. And let's say I want 100 cuts, spacing 1 centimeter. Yeah, this should be enough. So let's do the cuts in this axis, and let's do the our plane, and let's do the cut in this plane as well. Now I've got a regular grid, and I can sculpt on that. But before we sculpt, let's go to Photoshop and let's actually create our top view. Let's create the map, kind of our little landscape. So let's create a new file. 2K by 2K is fine. So let's create this. Let's create a circle here and fill it black. Yeah, like this. So this circle represents basically the top view of our landscape, like this. So let's draw where we want to have our path and the pond or lake, if you want. So let's start with the path. So I'll select white color and brush, and maybe we can try bigger. Yeah, that looks good. So let's draw a path from here like this, and maybe an area here and here like this. Here will be the pond, and the path will continue somewhere here, like that. So that's our path. It's nice to make those little like non-irregularities at the sides, so we will make a feel of real at the end. So something like this. And the pond, that's a different layer. So let's say there is a small pond, or there will be a small pond here, and a little stream that will connect the other and bigger ponds, which actually can go to the side, maybe like this. This is up to your imagination, so draw whatever you want. Yeah, like that, for example. So obviously here will be the bridge at the end connecting this part of the path with this one. So we've got something like this. Now let's hide all the layers and leave just the path and save it as PNG, and maybe the path mask. There's some one already, but let's rewrite it. And the second one of the pond, let's save it as a PNG again. As a pond mask. So we've got somehow masks ready. So now let's put the materials on before we start sculpting, because we need to know where will be the pond, where will be the path. So the materials. So what I did, I downloaded some textures from textures.com. Some are for free, so that's really nice. And I've downloaded basically this one. That's a kind of grass green ground. Plus, it comes with the height map. It comes with the normal map, and it comes with a roughness map which we probably don't use. So this will represent our green ground. So let's create new material. Um, this albedo is our color channel, normals to make it like 3D feeling. And reflectance, this is too that's not realistic, so it would be probably something like this, just like a bit of reflectance, and the color will be probably greenish. I don't know. Yeah, something like this. And let's apply it to our ground. So as you can see, we've got it. We can go to the material here, to the material tag. Let's name it ground object, to the material tag, and we can do tiling because we want probably like more detailed textures. So the tiling means that that will be like maybe four. It's a little bit too detailed, so 2 by 2. Yeah, that looks fine. So we've got our ground, and if you render it, it looks like this. So now we need to create our path. So again, materials, create new material, path. Let's leave the color, but again the alpha channel, which represents kind of a mask. Let's turn on alpha and let's load the path mask. And let's apply it to the ground. So we've got our path, and let's do the same with our font. And let's change the color for blue for now. We will adjust it later on. So again, alpha, font, apply it as well. So now we see where will be our path and the pond. So we can model accordingly. The next phase is a sculpting. I'm not sure if it's supported by all the versions of Cinema4D. But anyways, it's normally under the mesh. Fine. No. Oh, what do you notes? No. I don't know where is it. Brushes, yeah, brushes. So we have different brushes used for sculpting. I've got the tab here as well. So let's select pool, and what pool does is to basically take the selected vertices and put it up by default. But that's not what we need. We want to put them down actually, because the pound goes. That's the it doesn't go up, it goes down obviously. So let's go back, and if I select the pool and attributes, here is invert. So let's invert it. And maybe adjust the size a bit and pressure. Yeah. So now it goes down, and let's draw. Let's actually select round and make it solo, so you'll see. So let's put it down to get like depth in the end, basically. That again, no need to be like 100% precise here, like roughly. Yeah, this could be pretty much it. And Is it too much? Oh, it's fine. It looks good. The same with the path. So size. The path goes actually a bit under as well, but we should adjust fall off. Something like this. And the path a bit down on the surface. Yeah, it's too much. Just a little bit. Yeah. Something like this, and this part as well. There is a smooth tool as well, so let's smooth it a bit. It's good. And then pull again and do some bumps on the slave back, not inwards, and do some bumps here and there to simulate. It's not just flat completely. I usually do the sides to go up a bit, so something like this. Here as well. So this looks more or less okay. Aren't we too high here? Yeah, we are. So control, put it back a bit, like this. Here we are out of our ball. Here's a hole. So grab and let's try to fix this one. Yeah, that's fine. Other side as well. No, it's good. This is fine. Oh, no, it's not. It's good. It goes out. So let's put it back. Yeah, that's cool. Let's put it inside a bit. Maybe. Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, so we've got this. So roughly we've got a shape. You render it, looks like this. Okay, so now obviously we need our path to be made by stone or something. So again, I've got a texture here, this one, with a small little stones. So again, this is albedo. This is roughness. This is normal. So let's use it. So materials again, our path, and the color channel will not be white, but the albedo one. The normal channel will be this one. Yeah, the normal one. Yeah. So it's there already. And maybe what we can do, we go to material and go to editor, we can set the texture preview size to no scaling, so we will see it in a high res here. So as you can see, we've got some kind of path here. That looks good. But maybe the um, it's too, the scale is not correct. The stones are too big. The thing is that we can't do the same as we did for the like a base green material, because if we go to tile, it will tile also this one. It will tile also our mask the alpha channel, and that's not what we want. So let's go back. Let's open path material again, and let's select color and do layer. And what the layer does, it acts as layers in Photoshop. So now I can open it. I have a bitmap here, and I add some special effects, and one of the effects is transform. So I can change the scale of this one here. So maybe 2, 2. Now the opposite way. So 0.2. Somehow that's too much, I guess. 5 maybe. Ah, sorry. 3. Let's do 0.5. Seems like a decent. Yeah, that's good. And we have to do the same for normals, because obviously normals doesn't fit to the color now. So again, layer, go inside, effects, transform, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Now it should be. Now let's try to render it. Yeah, it looks much better. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, the last thing regarding path is to change the reflectance. So the thing is that uh, the the stones are probably more reflective than the areas filling the space between stones, like for example, this one will be more reflective, and those parts, like those grayish here, those grayish parts here, they will be less reflective. So again, let's go here. Let's do very reflective for now. We will adjust later on. Layer mask, and the texture should be image, and we'll use roughness texture for this roughness part. So, and maybe we will, by using black point and white point, we will adjust it a bit. Yeah, like this. So obviously even the stones are not that reflective. So like that. Let's add another layer. This one, and put it under it. So now we've got this layer, which is, can I rename it? Okay, so now we've got this layer 1, which represents the parts between the stones, so that it's not reflective almost at all. And then the layer 2, which represents the stones itself, and that's more reflective. So that's how we made it somehow. Yeah, something like this. So that's our path, and the same approach will be with the pond. So that's it. Let's try to render it. Yeah, that's good. So the last part would be creating the water. So let's see it from the top, and let's create the water. So you don't need to be that precise here. And I'm actually drawing beneath the surface, so that's why we don't see the line. but doesn't matter really. That should be it. So let's see the line. So the line, and it's closed. It's blind. Here. Maybe somewhere here. That's fine. Maybe we should adjust those vertices here. Move them a bit. Yep, that's good. So now we've got a shape of our water surface. So so we've got another tool here, extrude. So Alt and click, and actually don't want to go anywhere. So zeros everywhere and make it editable. So let's delete this. So we've got a water. And we will place it correctly. So somewhere here, for example, maybe even lower. I don't know. Yeah, somewhere here. So that's our water. And let's create. There are some actually water materials. I think liquid water. Yeah, let's try it. And since we set up the sky, we can see our reflections of the sky in the water already. So let's try to undo it. Yep, that seems pretty good. The thing is that the water, the surface is not. This is too unnatural. So what we should do is to add some waves of it. So we can go to the water, and there is a displacement. So let's turn on displacement, load the noise texture, some kind of turbulence, I guess, and the height is 5. That's too much because the whole oval is this is like 30 centimeters, so 5 means that the waves will be too high, I guess. Oh, it's not that bad. Yeah, it is like here. It's ugly. So maybe let's try 2 centimeters, and also turn on subpolygon displacement. That means that the geometry will be adjusted before applying the displacement. So let's try now. That's better. Still not there. So subdivision level should be maybe like 10, and the height should be like 1. Okay, and we've got a really small wave, so we have to go to our texture and put the global scale of this noise, not 100%, but let's try 2000. Yep, it's getting better. Yeah, still I think the height of our waves is too much. So you need just a slight feel. So maybe something like this, and maybe just let's try 6. Yeah, that's better. And also I think this is too transparent because we can see under the water. We can see under the water easily. That's not what we want. So let's go to transparency, which controls brightness less, reflectance, how it's done here. Okay. Okay, let's try the color. Do it like more bluish. It's too much. That's too much. So let's try something like this. And maybe a bit of less reflectance. Let's see. Still too much. Okay. This one. This one. Let's try like roughness. So it's not that like a mirrorish kind of. I don't know, not bad, not good either. Anyways, roughly, I guess that we adjust it later on, and there will be like flowers growing, so we'll see how it looks later on. So basically, this is it. So we've got a ball created, we've got a sky that reflects everywhere, we've got a ground, we've got a water, and the last thing is actually the border of the of the of the our our path. So let's go to the top view again, and let's create a spline again. Let's follow roughly. Somewhere here. That's it. And the second one. Okay. And the third one. Okay. Last one. Okay. Now let's put it up. Alrighty. So let's select all and spline, and let's try schema. Yeah, this is more rounded, that's fine. Adjust a little bit here and there. Yeah, that's it. So those are basically the path from along which we will do kind of stones as the borders of our path. So it should be somewhere here. Now to create a rectangle, the size could be like 2 centimeters, and basically now to create sweep. And what sweep does is it takes one spline and follow it along the other spline like this. So the rectangle is too big. Let's try that one. Yeah, that's better. We should go here a bit lower. So select the points, put them over. So those are our stones, or path stones. Also, let's go to rectangle and do rounding, and do a little bit of rounding of the corners, so it doesn't feel that like rough, something like that. Too high here. It's fine. Okay, points go down a bit. Yeah, too high here as well. So adjust. Fine, that's good. That's good. 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 Yeah, whatever. So when I render it, it looks like plastic, so that's not what we want. So again, what textures we've got? What to use? So let's use those stones the same as we used for our pond, but this time we would so the color will be this, the normals will be, or actually just delete that, just take the hot stone, delete this one. Oh, delete it. What I've done, yeah, sorry. So delete the path stones, take the pond, copy it, control, remove alpha, we don't need it for this. So we've got a nice I don't know why it's black. Ah, it took a while to load the texture. The texture is not correct. So again, let's go to the material tag and let's play with UV tags. So maybe something like this seems okay. And oh, yeah. So now it's better, but still not there. It looks still kind of unnatural and plastic. It's not a stone. It's like a plastic, whatever. So materials, and displacement. And as displacement, we will load the texture, which is height. This one. And again, 1 centimeter is probably too much. Let's try 0.5. That's not enough. So let's try 2 actually. Let's play with it. Yeah, that's better. And again, we have to turn on this. And 2 is too much. So let's give it 0.5. We'll see how it looks. Yep, that's better. See, it's not regular. It's like a randomized the shape. Maybe even a little bit more. Yep. That's it. So that's it. So we've got our landscape ready, and this is basically it for this tutorial. So what I'll do now, I'll this out and I'll select all of those. Alt G to group it. All landscape. So let's save it. So we are ready for the next tutorial.
Okay, so this is it. This is the end of the first part of the tutorial. So now you should know how to build a objects such as bubble or vase and the ground and stuff like that. And see you next time on the next part of it. Thank you. Thanks for watching, and if you like it, just let me know.